You're watching the Wrestling Nerd Broadcast. Now here's your hosts, Tom, Nick, Ryan, and Dave. It's you, it's me, it's N.R.D. It's you, it's me, it's N.R.D. Uh-huh. Let's start the show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is you, it is me, it is T&D, episode 139 of the Wrestling Nerd Broadcast. And this week on the broadcast, we are joined by a very special friend of the broadcast, in Mr. Dennis Day Jr. DDJ, what do you say? Welcome back to the broadcast, my friend.
Oh my God.
I can't. But Tom, DDJ, thanks for coming on the show, my friend. How's your day been so far?
Thanks. First off, thank you for having me on here. You know, I always love coming on the show and chatting with you guys and stuff. And
you're always welcome. You are always welcome. I don't care what Dave says.
But yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Tom's making me cry tears of joy with his joy. How are you gonna say that? So yes, folks, for those who don't know and have watched broadcast before, we have our good friend DDJ, and he is from Elgin, Illinois, which is hop, skip, and a jump away from good old Chicago, Illinois. I like that hat.
I like that hat too.
But so Tropical Smoothie Cafe, throw us all some swag. But so our friend DDJ was at all the wrestling shows last week. So the fact that he is still happily married means he has got a real one, and his wife not killing him for going to all those wrestling shows. So God bless Mrs. DDJ. So Dennis,
well, here before we go any further, here's an even more of a kicker. Friday was our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Wow! Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And dude, you went to Rampage?
Well, wait, Rampage was Wednesday night. They taped it Wednesday night. So,
okay.
But the thing was, I originally wasn't going to go to anything. I was going to earmark the weekend for us to do something, but my wife's not really big on celebrating that kind of stuff. She's like, I'll just go have fun and stuff. So we actually ended up going out to breakfast Labor Day morning. So,
did you take your son?
No, he was at he was over at Grandma's house with his cousin. So
okay, so DDJ just let loose on Chicago. So
I've got to say, before we get into wrestling, breakfast is the most highly underrated date meal that exists. Like everyone's like, oh, let's go to dinner. No, breakfast. It is the greatest food ever. And then, like, you've got, if you want to hang out longer, you have all day where you could go hold hands and, like, go, like, I think breakfast is the way to go. You can take a post-breakfast nap.
Well, me and my fiance, we like to sleep. So, like, we're not getting up for breakfast. If we're having breakfast together, I'm cooking it in the kitchen. I'm not going out.
I have one question for Tom, and I hope I don't set him in too much of a tangent here. But Tom, is there an acceptable breakfast pasta?
Yeah, it's just pasta. It's
just
spaghetti.
pasta.
Yeah, like it's like you get pasta and you get some like red sauce, and then you just eat it in the morning.
I didn't know if you like added like some kind of fruit to it, maybe some oats or something.
So Sunrisa really likes oats. I'm kind of okay on it. She makes a savory oat, which is really good. But no, like I think I need to do some exploring on breakfast pasta and figure that out. Cause like you can make like a pasta like with egg, like kind of like a
I was gonna say I just searched breakfast ravioli, and there's some recipes. You could do an egg stuffed ravioli. You could do eggs Benedict ravioli, breakfast sausage ravioli. Obviously, I know Tom, you don't eat meat, so
yeah, but I can make a fake sausage. So before we get into, I really want to get into DDJ's stuff, but now that we're talking about pasta, my goal this fall is to get really good at making pasta, and my boss's best friend makes pasta. So guess who invited themselves over to their house? Me.
Thomas.
Yeah.
I'm making pasta soon.
All right, the Pasta King has spoken.
Pasta Mania lives.
It is happening, folks. But so DDJ, before we get on with your wrestling adventures, as a Illinoisan, what do you call somebody from Illinois? Is it
Illinois.
Somebody
Illinois?
from Illinois.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Illonian?
As somebody from the same state as Barack Obama was once from, what are your thoughts on CM Punk? We're required to ask this question now, I think.
All right, so my whole thing is this, and this is coming from someone who considers himself to be a CM Punk fan, but I'm not completely biased. I always try to be objective and stuff, because there are too many people out there that I think they let their bias get in the way of, whatever. But that's to each his or her own. But my whole thing is with this, if what's being reported is actually is true, because I think in all of this we're seeing Punk, we're hearing Punk's story, we're hearing TK's story, this to go back to Brawl Out last year, we're hearing this Punk story, the Buck story, Kenny's story. Somewhere in all of that is actually the truth of what actually happened, and sadly we won't know. But if I'm to go by what's being reported, and I think if I'm not mistaken, what was being reported, that what ultimately led to his firing is someone that was not directly involved, and it was, I think, an independent source. To me, you had to do what he did. You had to make that call, because in any other job, and this, especially in this day and age, I'm not even talking about back in the 70s and 80s when, all hell ran loose. I'm not even talking about the 90s when, Brett struck Vince and stuff. You lunge at your boss at any job. If I go to my boss and I tried reaching over the table to lunge at my boss to attack her, I know same thing. If you did the same thing, Dave, you Tom, you Nick, you're gonna get fired.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age. And the fact that this, there's been an incident of similar, I don't want to say stature or however you want to say it, but there was another incident at another really big event that kind of took away from what happened at the event.
Yep.
So, I mean, the fact that this wasn't the first time this had happened, like I said, I'm a Punk fan. He's always been good by me. Every interaction I've had with him has been really good and stuff. But he had to do what he did. And I don't fault him. I'm not going to sit there and swear him off or anything like that. He did what he had to do, and I think anybody that, I'm not going to sit there and say anybody that doesn't understand it is a dumbass, because again, you interpret things how you want to and stuff. But in my opinion, he did what he had to do. And I think the sheer fact that he had I'll just come out and say it, the balls to go out and speak to the crowd in the arena. Because again, I was there Saturday night at Collision. I got there, I left Starrcast, head over to Collision. That's when everything started breaking about Punk. And for him to go out there and do to talk to the crowd live. I know I think during the show they aired a pre-tape and stuff, but for him to go out in front of that crowd, knowing he was going to get the reaction that he got, that took a lot of guts for him to do that. And that was something he did not have to do. They could have just played that same pre-tape for us in the arena and stuff. So all in all, I think he did what he had to do. Was it the popular decision? Probably not. But was it the right decision, especially from a business perspective and running the risk of losing that entire locker room? Absolutely the right call.
Mm-hmm. That's why I like you, DDJ, because you've got you really are able to kind of take your personal feelings out of it, because like you said, you really like Punk. I fully agree with you on Tony Khan going out to the crowd was the right move. He's tough with words sometimes, but I appreciate you as a Punk fan understanding this was the right business decision.
It was.
And you don't want anyone losing their job. I personally don't care. But I think that, every point you made of this was what was best for business. And Tony's a CM Punk mark. So that was probably really hard for him.
Oh, you could tell you could tell if I posted the video of his speech on the Shoot and Shit Facebook page and stuff. So if you guys, anybody listening, if you're not a, you know, if you're not, if you haven't joined the page, please come join us. We're on Facebook and stuff to watch
Join
the
the
video.
page.
But you could hear in his voice, like, and that was the thing. It wasn't like he was just going out there, you know, and just reading like he was speaking from the heart, and you could tell that it hurt him to do what he had to do. But again, business decision wise, it was the right choice. I mean, it sucks that, you know, it had to come to that and stuff, but you know, just sometimes it's just how things are, you know. And anybody that goes back and says, well, you know, look at all the shit that happened down back in the day with, you know, Brett and Sean back in '97, you know, and they try to say, well, why wasn't, you know, Brett fired or whatever? Again, times are different, you know. This isn't the 1990s anymore, and stuff. And things that you can get away with then, you can't get away with now. And I think there's a huge population or percentage of the wrestling fan base that just still doesn't understand that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, how like the things in the 90s when I was listening to ESPN radio, trust me, I'm going somewhere with this, and they mentioned somebody brought up the fact that they think LeBron is the GOAT compared to Jordan because of all the media scrutiny he has to deal with now, and the fact that, you know, had Jordan played in an era where everybody can literally be a verbal critic and reach him via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or whatnot, he might not be as strong. And that immediately made me think, like, we grew up, you know, obviously in the 80s and 90s watching wrestling, and we just see these larger than life characters. We don't know the backstage politics or the evilness that could potentially be going on behind the scenes with our favorite characters. And I think to myself, like, what happened in those locker rooms that has never been reported? Like, nobody knows. These guys have literally taken stuff to the grave. You know, you mentioned how, like, oh, you know, if this were the 90s, you know, oh, let's just take him in the back and deal with this there like gentlemen in the locker room, and it ends up with the Undertaker drinking a shot of whiskey with you, you know. Yeah, it just makes me like kind of think like, oh man, are my childhood heroes as good as I think they are in a way?
No,
No, they're not. Yeah, no, they're not.
No, Tom's right.
Yep.
Can I just interject on it real quick?
Absolutely.
It's like everyone's like, oh well, we've entered this era where people are too sensitive. No, I think people just expect more out of people to be able to handle things properly.
Yep.
So like, I get wanting to fight someone. I've fought many people in my life. I have inflicted physical harm on other human beings. I'm 35. CM Punk is older than me. There comes a time in your life where you need to say, I'm an adult. I don't like what's going on. There's a good way to handle that, where he could have probably gotten Jungle Boy fired.
Yeah.
Period. Because CM Punk had authority, whether officially or not. People listened to him. So like, he could have had it his way, but he couldn't keep his temper under control. So like, I think of like all the stuff that went on back in the 90s when we were growing up, and I'm like, I don't want to know, because I just want to enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I think the social media age is the downfall of wrestling. Like, I love knowing that, like, I know wrestling is completely storytelling and scripted, whatever. But like, I like being able to just know about what's happening that's being presented to me. I don't need to know all the backstage rumors and dramas. I don't need to know that this wrestler is going to maybe premiere within the next 6 months. Just let it happen. Let me be surprised. So that's what, like, one thing I appreciated about wrestling growing up was I was able to be surprised, and the drama backstage didn't get out. Like, just be adults. Like, the only person I think.
The sad thing is too now that most people, not most, but a lot of wrestling fans, it's like the matches and stuff are like just secondhand stuff. It's like all the backstage stuff is like what is prominent. It's like all anybody cares. It's like the matches are almost like just a formality that has to happen. Like, you know.
Well, people are making 6 figures talking about what's going on backstage. Like,
and that's a problem.
Yeah. And just one more thing before we get on to DJ's wrestling adventures last week. Something that I saw somebody point out, like, somebody made some sort of comment, and like I've said, some of the most loyal and the most sadistic, crazy MFers out there in terms of fan base are CM Punk loyalists. It's them and Swifties, neck and neck.
I think you
might
can.
try to
I
tell us a
think.
couple
I
this
think.
week.
I think you can. I think you can say, really anybody, like you said, Punk. You could throw in the Bucks, Kenny Omega. I think. There's just people that are just diehards of a particular wrestler.
Yep.
That literally will sing their praises no matter what. And again, I'm not saying there people are wrong for that, but I just think that they're kind of blinding themselves, or they're shielding themselves, or they're not getting the whole story by allowing the bias to show through and stuff. So
Yep.
Yeah.
But so I saw somebody make a reference in one of the groups I'm in, and they were like, "Oh, see, this is gonna bankrupt Tony Khan. Somebody's gonna sign CM Punk, and they're gonna run the wrestling world." I don't think that there is any wrestler on the face of the earth right now with either AEW or WWE or even New Japan that could go to another company and make a Hulk Hogan-esque impact the way he did by going to WCW. Like Hogan went from WWE to WCW and shifted everything. I don't think Roman Reigns could come to AEW or Okada could go to WWE or MJ. If nobody's gonna have that kind of sway. This isn't like the NBA where, I think Draymond Green is a sack of shit and I hate him. He's an annoying player and I hate Draymond Green. But if the Warriors just up and decided, okay, you know what, we've had it with your attitude, you're done. Guess what? The New York Knicks are going to throw a bag of cash at him tomorrow, and he's in New York at the Garden. Like, without question. Unless you've done something criminally wrong, like Wander Franco, you're getting signed up.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Tom, you're being sarcastic right now, but you're very accurate with that.
He did. I can't believe he did that. Oh.
So, last question for you, DDJ, before your ventures. Do you think there's any chance CM Punk goes to WWE? Because I made this analogy. I said the closest thing that I can compare CM Punk to right now is the Ultimate Warrior when he left WWE and then went to WCW, but eventually came back. It's that kind of rift in a way.
No, I think at this point in time, he especially actually let me back that up a little bit. If Vince and Triple H and all, if WWE was still owned by Vince McMahon, I would say absolutely not, because but with this whole Endeavor merger taking place for the next couple of weeks, and I've seen something that would say, I've seen some reports or something that said he had a good relationship with Endeavor from his time in the UFC. Yeah. I would say it's a little more likely, but I still don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those that I think it's basically the best way to put it is that it's the juice isn't good at this point in time. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
I'll just say this, and I'll leave it at this. This Friday, actually this Saturday, I'm going to Impact's 1000th TV episode. Could you imagine if CM Punk shows up in the Impact Zone on Impact 1000? I'm just saying.
If he's going anywhere, that would be really the only company I could see him showing up in. But even then, I don't think they can afford him.
I genuinely don't know how I would react. I'd be kind of, you know what? I do know how to react. I'd immediately film it so I can try and go viral and start tweeting out spoilers for this Thursday's Impact episode.
Does AEW have the same 90-day clause like WWE?
No, because he was released from his he was terminated. Okay. It wasn't a buy.
He was fired with cause. Yep. So yeah, he can basically he could show up on He could show up on SmackDown or something, and
he could show up right now. We'd like to welcome Phil Brooks to the no.
Yeah, right.
Imagine you just decide to randomly come on this show or shoot and shit. Be like, yeah, I'd like to make this the next Art of Wrestling podcast.
I think I'd leave.
But speaking of Art of Podcast, speaking of podcast, shooting shit, the human trivia machine, Mr. DJ, Family Feud winner, Starcast attendee, BTE guest star. Dennis, how was wrestling last week? Take us through everything. What'd you start with? The floor is yours.
So basically, it started out at roughly around 2:00 Friday afternoon when I got off work at my 9 to 5. My boss was kind enough to let me leave early that day and stuff. And I worked like 5 minutes from where Starcast was. So I got off work, changed into some regular clothes because I sure as hell wasn't going to Starcast in my work clothes. I went and grabbed some lunch, and then I went over to the arena and stuff, and it was really cool. So starting off, it started about 3:00 for me with they had a little kickoff party for certain people who bought a specific package for Starcast and stuff, and mine included my seat to All Out and stuff. And they had like this up in this little patio area in the back and stuff, and it was just a few fans sitting around talking. And then we had like the Blade from AEW come by and talk for a little bit. Really nice guy, and stuff. And then the Blue Meanie came in for a little bit, and he was really cool and stuff. So I got to talk with him for a little bit. He did a plug for the podcast and stuff, which you'll see on the future episode of Shooting Shit here in the near future. And he was talking about like his new video game he's got coming out that he's been working on, the Ultra Pro Wrestling, which is basically very similar to WWF No Mercy, WCW, NWO Revenge, and stuff. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because my interactions with the meanie didn't end at this party. One person that I really want to give a shout out to is Nick Gage. He was also one of the wrestlers that came by. And I mean, this guy, for everything he's been through, which you've seen on, if you've all seen his Dark Side of the Ring, correct?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And to see where he's at now, and I'm telling you, I don't think I've met a wrestler who is as humble about his success and where he's at in life than I have with Nick Gage. I mean, I probably sat and talked with him for like 5-10 minutes just about wrestling, just life in general and stuff. And he's just as humble as can be. And he's one of those guys that when you're done talking with him, you find it so much easier to be like, hey, I can root for this guy.
Yeah.
And stuff. So yeah, it was just basically sitting around talking and stuff, then Starcast, Starcast started. So, I remember going to, I think I was going to like my car. I was going somewhere. I think I was going to take something to my car, get something out of my car. And I happened to run into Jake Hager.
Yeah.
He was sitting outside. He was sitting outside talking to the Blade. So, I just went over, I shook his hand, and we talked for a little bit and stuff. And he had some stuff because he was one of the first wrestlers that was doing a meet and greets in one of the areas once Starcast opened up. And I found through he had in his bag, he was selling these bad boys.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I like that hat.
I do too. And stuff. So he, and he said talking about him, and he said something about it's like, well, wait, I thought you got rid of the hat because the whole thing when he walked out in the JAS and stuff, and the kind of thing was between us is he was going to be like, what hat. So, and I interacted with him throughout the weekend. Really cool. Like Hager surprised. I was really surprised at how fun Hager was and stuff. So, but then you get into the meet and greets. I mean, for the most part, not a long wait for really anybody. I mean, first night I got, met Jake Hager. I got something signed by him, bought the hat and stuff. And then, I got to meet Chris Statlander, who was really nice. And I asked her, because you guys know I've had the 2 knee surgeries on my right knee from the stuff, and she's had their knee issues and stuff. And I asked her, like how, as someone who's been through, ACL surgery twice, like, I struggle mentally with trying to will myself to do certain things simply as, jumping or going on a trampoline, because I'm just so afraid I'm going to do something that's just going to jack up my knee. And I asked her, how did she, get through it and everything. And she just said, it's a mental thing. And she gave, some really good advice and kind of made me feel better about things.
That's doesn't surprise me about her. Like she seems like just a sweetheart of a human.
She really is.
And like you're not asking her about like the generic wrestling questions. Like
what's your favorite? What's your dream match? Like what's your favorite rehab exercise?
Yeah, it's like that was a real ass injury that really messed with her, and like,
yep,
you were able to relate with her, so she probably appreciated that more than most questions she was asked.
Yeah,
well, let's see, and that's one of the things that I always like to do when I do these meet and greets or get a chance to talk with a wrestler. I don't like asking them, like you said, the cookie cutter, like what's your favorite dream match and things like that, because there's so much more to these men and women than just stuff like that, and that's kind of what interests me more.
Yeah.
And such. So it was meet and greets were great. I'm trying to think who else did I do Friday night. I actually ended up going meeting Renee Paquette, and she was as cool as you would expect her to be. And I asked her about, I don't know if you guys knew that she used to have a show on Sirius XM with Misha Tate and stuff, and and it didn't last too long. And I asked her, because I really liked it. I forget, I can't remember off the top of my head what it was called, but I asked her, I was like, so what happened with the show? And she just told me it's just, her being a new mom at the time, and, Misha Tate being a mom and stuff. And it's just that kind of stuff got in the way. So, and
she stopped doing the podcast even. Like she hasn't done the sessions in ages.
Yeah, she had a live like a live show at Starcast, I think, with Saraya. I believe that might have been
okay.
I think that might have been Saturday night or something. I think I'm not 100, or not Saturday, Friday or Saturday afternoon or something. But I know she did a live show with Saraya, and that. So, but yeah, it was just really cool. So then, like, we come to, I don't want to say the main event, so I'm just going to be cliche and say the game event, which was kind of like my big break of the weekend. So basically, what it was. This guy, his name is Ephraim, was the host. I mean, really nice guy. Like, I clicked with him right away. I've actually been staying in contact with him, just, and stuff, because he was really good to me all weekend. And they had already had, and how it was the Family Feud style, you put, it's just a game. It was Family Feud, but they couldn't call it Family Feud for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And stuff. So they were, there was a couple guys. I think it was Josh Chernoff from used to be Fight TV. He runs, I think, or is part of the Premier Streaming Network, which has all the Starcast events on demand. I believe they have like a 2-month free trial for some of it. It's really cool.
Any correlation with the Premier Joey K? I'm sorry, the Premier Joseph K.
No, total no relation.
One's respected and one is not. Gotcha. We'll let the fans decide.
You know what? I gained a lot of. I'm not going to go into this because this is something I don't want to discuss on air and stuff. But I will say, Joey, I got to give a shout out to Joey K because he helped me out with something over the weekend and stuff. So
awesome.
The Premier Joseph K.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But so going back. They were, with Josh Chernoff, and I can't think of the other guy was there. It's kind of like, the guys that were doing, like the host of the like Premier Streaming Network doing all the shows and stuff. And, they were like, we were just like, oh, are you ready? And I'm like, yeah, and stuff. So the host of the show was like, he kind of, he does the, so he's like, call me over. And I go over to him and he's like, hey, how would you like to be on the show? I'm like, oh my God, would I? And stuff. So yeah. No, and I'm glad I would have kicked myself if I had said that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it was just one of those, and so like, I ended up being the 5th member of the fans team and stuff, and stuff. And it was just like, we went up against some AEW wrestlers. It was Willow Nightingale, Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, Ryan Nemeth, and then the Blade. And it was just, we played Family Feud. We won the first 2 rounds. The AEW wrestlers won rounds 3 and 4, and then it basically came down to the last question and stuff, to decide who would win. And we ended up winning. The last question of the main game was real or fictional, and not including wrestling. Name a famous Tony
Danza.
That was
the Tiger.
Okay, so it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned all 3 of those. Because all 3 of those were on the board. Tony Danza was my pick, and that was the number 1 answer. I'm trying to think. What was the other one? It was Tony Bennett, which I went as soon as he said, I was like, how can you miss that?
Yeah.
And then Tony Hawk. Those were the only two because it was the top 5 and stuff. So it basically came down to I can't remember how many points we had and stuff, but basically we won. Whoever won the round was going to win the game, and it came down to the AEW wrestlers having the chance to steal. So, and I believe Bennett and Hawk were the only ones that weren't like everything else was on the board. So they had the AEW wrestlers had the answer to try to steal, and they went with Tony Shalhoub for Monk.
What a terrible guess.
What a terrible
But so
guess.
I kind of thought as soon as I heard that, I was saying to my guy CJ, who was sitting next to me, because I was on the end, he was to my left. I said, I think we got this. And then when I heard we started celebrating and stuff, and one thing I will say about the whole thing, if you guys seriously go online, sign up for Premiere, buy the StarCast package, unlock all the stage shows, everything from every previous StarCast, just for Orange Cassidy's commentary throughout the whole game show. It was hilarious. Like my wife was even cracking up when I was showing it to her over the weekend. So then, they did the whole fast money thing and stuff. And it was two people get picked and you got to try to get 200 points. So it was this very nice girl named Brandy who I was chatting up before the whole thing started. And then myself. So she went first and I had to go wait outside. I had to do the earmuffs because they didn't actually have, headphones or anything. So I kind of had to, do the, plug my ears and stuff so I couldn't hear and that. So they bring me in and I walk in and I see, Brandy got 49 points. I'm like thinking, okay, I got my work cut out for me. But then when they ask the questions, it's just like, I don't know what happened. It's just like, literally, it's just like, I instantly just went into this zone and, and stuff. And then next thing, I start reading the questions. The first question was, what was the first question? I was trying to think of the first question now because I'm talking about it. My brain's all, just because. But the first question was number 1 answer. I'm thinking, all right. The second question I remember was name a wrestler on the AEW Ring of Honor roster that you wouldn't want babysitting your kid. So naturally, I thought of MJF. Number 1 answer. Then the next question was, a non-wrestling celebrity or whatever that's appeared on an AEW show. I guessed Mike Tyson, and she guesses Shaq, which was the number 1 answer. But mine wasn't that far behind. Then it was like, name a non-wrestling personality associated with Dennis Rodman. I picked Michael Jordan, and stuff, which it was. But basically, long story short, I only needed the first 4 questions to get the 151 points we needed. So
amazing.
And literally after that, like all the wrestlers, like Orange Cassidy kids, like, dude, you were awesome and stuff. And I ran into Willow Nightingale a little bit after the show, thing, I went to go get a quick drink from the bar. And I think she was just talking to someone or whatever. And she came over to me. And she's like, oh, you were really good. I got a picture with her and stuff.
That's awesome.
All throughout the weekend, it was like, all the StarCast people, like the workers and stuff were like, hey, you did great. Like, it was like, almost, it was kind of like a little bit of a quasi-celebrity, which was kind of a cool feeling.
I have a question about StarCast. Like, so the thing that's always confused me since its inception in 2018?
Yes, for All In.
What is StarCast? It's just like a big convention, right? It's just like mainly a lot of meet and greets.
Yeah,
and like
it's
occasional podcasts.
Yeah, it's basically, excuse me. Yeah, it's just a bunch of meet and greets. They, bring in wrestlers, wrestling personalities and things of that nature and stuff. And they're having them all in rooms and stuff. But yeah, then they have vendors in the downstairs area selling stuff. Like I know High Spots was there and stuff. But yeah, it's basically just a convention. They bring people in and stuff. It's just something run by Conrad Thompson, who
Conrad Thompson,
the mortgage guy.
Yeah, the mortgage guy. But yeah, it's kind of something for in place of what AEW does with their fan fest and stuff, because it's probably one less thing they have to worry about and stuff. So
That's
is
cool.
there is everything like every event or everything like a separate ticket item? So like you buy admission to Starcast, and then to do things, do you have to buy is it all individual add-ons?
For the autographs and pictures, yeah, those are sold separately. Yes, so.
Okay.
So you can pick and choose who you want. But like if you wanted to go to one of the stage shows, and they have a lot of them on. They had a lot of them. They had live podcasts. They AEW did their live unrestricted podcast. It was Will Washington and Aubrey Edwards. They actually were interviewing Tony Khan, and I caught maybe the last 15-20 minutes of that, and then Colt Cabana did his podcast, and he had on Lash LaRue from the late days of WCW.
Love Lash LaRue.
He's actually was someone that I got to meet over the weekend. Very, very nice guy.
Get a micro brawler.
I would not hate that. I would love a Lash LaRue micro brawler.
But
he had great sideburns that looked like lightning bolts,
yes,
and he would trace them when he
It
came
was
out.
He'd be like, he was the Cajun wrestler.
Yeah, the Raging Cajun.
Yeah. So but
can you do Starcast? Would it be worth it to do it on the cheap? If I were to next year, if I were to go and just buy admission to the thing and maybe 1 or 2 meet and greets.
It depending. I would say it would depend on who they bring in.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, but I mean, to do the stage shows, you have to get to be able to attend the stage shows, you have to get either a gold or a platinum bracelet, which is a little bit pricier and stuff. But sure, if you're into the shows and that kind of the pocket, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just but a lot of it's just more about going to the meet and greets and meeting your favorite wrestlers and personalities who are there.
Okay. I never understood how it worked because I'm only 3 hours away. I would love to go, but I'm admission, meet and greets. This is everything I'd want to do. I'm this is going to cost me a fortune. But
I'm not gonna lie, it's not. It's
not cheap.
It can easily.
I like going to conventions to just walk around and look at stuff.
Yep.
You can, and they have just the general admission or whatever and stuff the basic one. You could do that. You could walk around, see who's there, and then you said, go to the, the merchandise area where people are selling stuff and that. So
because that's what me and Margaret did in 2019 when WrestleMania was at MetLife in New Jersey. They had WrestleCon in New York City, and basically the session you could walk around the convention floor where they were doing a bunch of meet and greets, merchandise stands, whatnot, and there was always one wrestling show included with it. It's we saw Pancakes and Pile Drivers, and man, I look at that card now, and that thing was stacked with talent.
Yeah.
It was, the main event was Sami Callihan versus Swerve Strickland before Swerve went to WWE. Or I'm sorry, it was a 6-man thing. It was OVE, Ohio versus everyone, or whatever.
Ohio versus everybody.
Yeah, versus whoever Swerve's people were. But the Rascals were in that. Jake Manning's in that. Sammy Guevara's in that. Penta. And then there was the guys who were the besties in the world, and they came out to Savage Gardens.
Julie Madly Deeply.
Is that it? Where they're I want to stand with you?
Yeah,
yes,
because
they do a whole dance with it, and it's incredible.
So
oh my gosh!
That is an underrated song.
Banger. Love me some Savage Garden.
DJ.
Yes, sir.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Out of everyone you met this weekend or that weekend, who was your best interaction? And I don't want to say worse because I don't want to put you under that bus. But who was the most neutral interaction? That was oh, okay.
Okay, so it's actually both those questions I can answer very quickly, and I'm going to start with the neutral one. And I wasn't disappointed by this because it was basically what I expected it to be, and that's when I met Dennis Rodman.
You met Dennis Rodman?
Yeah. Did you not see?
Wait, did I not hear this? Did I totally miss this?
Fucking picture.
Did you
on my Facebook
what?
page. Hold on, Dave.
How about
I'll
Dennis's
say,
face tattoo of his girlfriend?
Dave, I'll save you the trouble. I'll send you as I'm talking, I will send you the picture to your Facebook Messenger here
I'm
very
excited.
shortly.
I'm excited.
That's
So
awesome.
Rodman was very mid.
Yeah, and it was about what I expected it to be. Dave, you should have a message. So
Oh yes, I do remember this picture now. Yes, 'cause I remember somebody
Okay.
made a comment on the shirt, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Dennis Rodman was probably high, and he also hangs out with Kim Jong Un, so I'm not surprised.
Well,
by
and
the
that was the
reaction.
thing. Like, and somebody had told me this that was like coming out of the line and stuff. And then when I saw it for myself, I'm not surprised. He wasn't like an asshole or anything. Like he wasn't like, okay, but he just wasn't, he was just like there
Yeah,
and stuff. But
That's
he could tell, like, he just seemed like he was on something.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm surprised. I watched The Last Dance.
Yeah. Yeah. So now in terms of what I would say would probably be the best interaction, I didn't have a bad, the nice thing is I didn't have a bad interaction at all.
Well, they
Like
know who you are. How could you have a bad interaction with DJ?
Well, yeah, of course, that's a given and stuff. But I mean, but like, I think for me, the one that I was like, wow, this guy was really cool. I would probably say would have to be the Blue Meanie.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, I remember how a little earlier, I was telling you about, we were sitting outside talking at the pre-show party and that kind of thing and stuff. So later that night, I went down to the collector's corner where all the merch was and stuff, because that's where he had his table set up. And he was really hyping up this game that he's a part of called Ultra Pro Wrestling. And so I was watching because he's like, there's a video playing that was just released and stuff, come by and check it out and stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I go down there and I start watching it. And I don't think they're married, but it's like his girlfriend or wife or whatever. Really, really nice lady too and stuff. Was there, and just I was talking with the media about the game and stuff, like, because they were showing, like, I forgot, it's like really early on, like the game's not expected out till like the end of next year.
Okay.
But it was in a really early build, but it looked so cool, just the detail and the guys and everything. And we were just talking, and I was just telling them about memories of old games and stuff, and then like seeing all the wrestlers that they actually got for this. And then he goes and hands me, they had this print on. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this artist by the name of Hal Haney, but he did this little print here. If you guys can see on camera, it's kind of like a mock-up.
Yeah.
The WCW NWO Revenge cover. But if you kind of see in the corner there, it's kind of, I don't know if it picks up and stuff. The Blue Meanie signed this, and literally he just like handed me the photo. It's like, here, do you want this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, and so, and then he's like, oh, here, I'll sign it for you too. So basically, we were talking probably about 5 minutes about this game. He hands me this photo and signs it and doesn't charge me anything.
What a great guy.
He really is. And like, he's a real, just a really down to earth guy. And it's just as nice as can be and stuff. So yeah, that was probably I'd probably say the best interaction I had with a wrestler over the weekend. And like I said, I did not have a bad one with anybody.
I want to add one more question to piggyback on Tom, just because it wouldn't be the Wrestling NRD Broadcast. We didn't ask this. Was there any interactions in the restroom that were with any wrestlers of any?
Did you pee next to anyone?
Pee on anyone?
Well, they always say it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. But no, I didn't have.
We're done talking about Phil Brooks.
Yeah, but no, I did not have that. I did not have the pleasure of running into someone in the bathroom. Although I will tell you a little bit of a fun story going back to the first All In. I actually met Papa Buck in one of the men's rooms in the arena.
I want to make like a coffee table book of like everybody's like stories of meeting different.
I could just imagine like Papa Buck's doing his business, but like humming like the takeoff flight music you hear in BT.
But like he was coming out as I was going in. So just said, hey, how you doing and stuff. So, I went and did, my business, and then, washed my hands and stuff. And I went on, he was out there with Mama Buck. And I'm just like, hey man, you do some really good music and stuff, and got a picture with them and stuff. But that's my meeting a wrestling personality in the bathroom store.
Everybody's got one. Everybody's got
one. Far more respectable than all of ours, because we met them in the bathroom. We made sure pants were up though. It's okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so you say like that was like you didn't have a bad interaction. What about the interaction with the Gun Club during All Out?
Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. That was well, like you said, I've been a fan of the Guns for a while. I think they're great. I think they're going to be something special in the future. Like in a couple years, I think they're really going to be big and stuff. And I just love what they're doing with Bullet Club Gold. In fact, one of the reasons why I bought this right here,
I love that so much.
because honestly, and I said this to the Guns when I met them at the meet and greet, I said, you guys right now, Bullet Club Gold is like one of, if not my favorite things in AEW right now. I think they are just killing it. And I'm so glad to see that they're giving, all these guys, especially Jay White and Juice Robinson, chances to succeed and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of one of the, I don't want to say good things about Punk leaving, but I guess you could say probably is that these guys are going to get a chance to even succeed even more than they already have.
I want Juice Robinson on every episode of TV.
Oh my God, yes.
This is the best. Awesome. This is the best version of Juice Robinson we've ever had.
Yeah. So going back to the interaction with the Gun Club at All Out, I sat, front row ringside behind the announce tables. And like I said, you guys, if you watched, you probably saw me when they were at the announcers table and things like that. So during the match, it was an 8-man. It was the Bullet Club Gold against the Young Bucks and FTR. And of course, everybody's doing the ass boys chanting and stuff. And I happened to do it. And Colton walked by. He was walking by. He took one look at me, stared me dead in the eye, and literally started walking towards me. And I'm thinking, all right, this is going to happen and stuff. I wasn't expecting him to like come lunging at me, a la, CM Punk or anything
you
like
weren't
that.
fearing for your life.
No, I was not. But, cause I know, and stuff. But then he just kind of turned around and walked away. And I got the biggest kick out of that. Someone else who I really gained an appreciation for at All Out was Saraya. She ringside was phenomenal.
Okay.
And stuff.
Did she spray paint you?
No, but there was a guy sitting about, I think 2 or 3 seats to my right who had a sign. I can't remember something. And it was like the other side was blank. So she took her spray can and spray painted an L on the blank side of this guy's sign. She tore, right before she interacted with me, she tore up this other guy's sign who said, I think it was making a comment about what like English people called fries or something like that. I mean, it was a really funny sign that she tore up. And then I said, it's like, oh, cheat or something. And then she yelled and it wasn't picked up on mic because I had someone on one of my friends who was watching it or watched the event said it wasn't picked up. But at one point during the match, she yelled out, looked at me directly and said, I can smell you.
You tell her at least you have nicer teeth?
No, I did not say that.
I'll say this though. I guarantee you, speaking of Saraya, I guarantee you the day that we get the first ever fan edition brawler and it's DDJ, it'll look a lot better than that work of art that they put out of Saraya. Because
what an ugly brawler.
I'll say this, the gear, fantastic. The face, it's Tim Curry in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yep.
It looks like a combination of Tim Curry and Rocky Horror, Diamante, and Russell Brand.
Oh, that's an interesting trio.
Did I just realize that I missed Will Ospreay and the All In DVD?
Did you?
I barely made that. I barely made the cutoff for both of those.
The fact that labor, like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna order it when I get back into work, and I'm like, I might miss this. I better get this. I ordered it this morning. I was like,
that's okay. I'll get them on the secondary.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad. And I believe Ryan Barkin said during the whatnot, like they'll have extra copies of All In. So
yeah, you'll probably be able to get it like an AEW show or something because I know in the past they've sold the AEW DVDs at like at the events and stuff. So there shouldn't be a problem.
I'll slide into Castro's DM.
I'll give you my Fight TV sign on. You can watch it there.
Fine.
Watch how they rush through the end.
I would love that because I was there and I have not seen it yet.
I think.
Wait! You were at All In?
I was at the original All In, so I was at.
So was I.
Here's a good story.
There was a lot of people.
So was JP and Jared.
Jared was there. JP.
I was at
Wow.
It was before I moved to Michigan. I was at a Fishbone concert in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and the opening band was just annoying me. So like I just scrolling on Twitter, and I just some random retweet of like, "Hey, I've got an all-in ticket. I can't go." And I'm like, "What are you asking?" He's like, "150." I said, "Cool. Where is the seat?" And he kind of showed me, like, he sent me like a map, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." So I totally just bought this ticket randomly off of some stranger on Twitter. Because I'm like, well, I'll be moving to Michigan like 3 weeks before then. It's not that far away. So I woke up and drove to All In by myself with knowing nobody. And I just sat and I didn't know what parking was going to be like. So I got there like 6 hours early. And I just sat in the fucking parking lot. And then my wife's friend, who she knew growing up, was there. So I met up with him for a little bit. And then some other dude, this guy, Brent Strasberg, he's in the groups. He posted on Twitter or something, same thing. He's like, I got tickets to the All Out party. I'm running late. I'll give you my ticket if you get my shirt and we meet up. And I'm like, yo, a deal. What size shirt do you want? So like I met up with him and like, I got him his shirt afterwards. So like I went to this whole thing completely by myself and never once felt like I was by myself.
See, that's the beauty. That is the beauty of the majority of the wrestling fan base, because that was the thing. I all three shows I sat by myself. I had a lot of friends and stuff that were there. I got to spend a lot of the time over the weekend hanging out with my buddy AJ, his awesome wife Holly, and their awesome friend Steven, who all came in from Ohio. And stuff. And if you guys saw my Facebook, one of my Facebook posts from, I think it was like Saturday or something, I wore the double clothesline shirt to Collision. And then just out of pure dumb luck, I see my friend, my AJ and his wife and friend coming up, and he's got the same shirt on that he got out of a like I think it was a botch box or something that he bought at from Pro Wrestling Tees at Starrcast, because they were there and they were selling like their mystery boxes and stuff. So when he came in, like naturally, I had to be like, okay, we have to do the double clothesline pose.
You have to.
And which I also, by the way, I got to do that with Adam Cole at Starrcast too.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
And stuff.
Just everyone holding hands.
Pretty much, yeah. and that, so, but it was just, going back to, my original point, where, kind of piggybacking off what Tom said about, never feeling alone. I never once the whole weekend, especially when I was walking by myself, and stuff, I ever felt like, I was alone, because there's always someone to talk to. There's always someone to interact with. Like I said, there's a lot of people I knew that were at the event and stuff that I'd see throughout the day and stuff. But like any of the shows I sat at, and this is like this almost anytime I go to a wrestling show by myself, I always find myself talking to someone throughout the show. Like I just don't sit there, twiddling my thumbs, chanting and stuff like that, just kind of on my own thing, and that's the beauty of the wrestling fan base, because I don't think you can really go do that anywhere else.
When you have someone in your area that just talks to people, it changes the whole show.
Yep.
Because it's like it forms like a little community where you're sitting. So yeah. I don't want to get us too off topic because we were talking about that awful Saraya brawler. So Dave, do you want to bring it back to that?
Hey, can I kind of go off on a different talk about a different brawler that was probably going to be a little more well received than the Saraya one?
Skinner?
Yeah.
No, actually, I got.
Yes.
That thing's badass. I'm jealous of that. I want
a nice
that.
looking brawler.
Yeah. So I got to talk about talk about fellow member of the Micro Brawler fan group, one Matthew Cardona.
Friend of the broadcast.
Friend of the broadcast. Yeah. He is so cool. Like I got there just as he was setting up and, and stuff. And I just said hello, and he's like, hey, how you doing and stuff. He's like, give me about like 5 minutes and I'll be ready to go. I'm like, yeah, sure, and stuff. So I got there, right as he was setting up, and I was like, okay, I'll get him out of the way just so, I don't have to wait in a long line if I come back and stuff. So, talking with him and stuff. I'm a big Indiana Jones guy. Like, this is one of my favorite film franchises and stuff, except for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That movie's pure garbage.
It's literally the only one I've seen.
I'm sorry. You need to, Tom. You need to do me a huge favor, and you need to go watch, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade.
I was gonna say I've never seen a single Indiana Jones film.
I've seen
Oh,
the original 3, but I haven't seen any of the
thank
new
you,
ones.
Nick. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. For at least
I've seen all the
for-
Star Wars movies. Give me some credit.
I've seen all those too.
There's too much wrestling to keep up with. Okay, I had to choose.
So, but yeah, he was. You can definitely tell Cardona knows his stuff when it comes to selling merch. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
met him and stuff. Like he had the brawlers. He had, the Indie God hat, which again, it's kind of hard to pick up on the signature and stuff, but I got this signed by him. He also had, which I went back and got when my buddy Jeff went and met him. I got the little,
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
love those.
and he signed. I got that signed by him. Let me see that, and then I have to show you the 8x10 that I got signed by him, because basically it was, I guess you could say, the entire Indiana Jones or Indie God package, because again, I just had to do it. So this was
That's a good color on that.
Yeah, I really like, and because I bought quite a bit from him, so he was kind enough to throw in at no additional charge. I got a couple of stickers as well.
Love
There you
it.
go.
I'll say
Did he
this:
have
He
any
people,
of
knows what he's
the?
doing with merch, man.
What's that?
people give him. What's that, Tom?
I just said that guy he knows what he's doing with merch.
Absolutely. He's
and
like
also, oh, go ahead, DDJ.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to wrestlers with merch at these types of events, I don't think you're gonna find anybody better than Matt Cardona and Colt Cabana.
Yeah. And like
Colt
Cardona knows like how, I don't want to say valuable in terms of money, but like how much people value an autographed item. So he knows how to sign it well. He knows the proper technique of a paint pen or a Sharpie on a product, what's going to look best, and he takes his time.
And he's not one of those guys that's just like, here you go, next. Like every person that he went up to or that came up to him and stuff, he took the time and sat and chat with. Like it wasn't just most meet and greets, when you go to like the WWE ones or whatever, where they just sign a picture, get a quick shot, lean in shot, and then on the way. Like he gives you time. He gives you time. Like I spent a couple of minutes talking to him, and I told him about, again, I referencing back to having just celebrated my 10-year wedding anniversary. When my wife recited her vows to me on our wedding day, they were very wrestling themed. And she threw in towards the end like a lot of catchphrases, including the woo, woo, woo. And I told Matt about that, and he got the biggest kick out of that.
That's awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
Did he have any of the golden chases for sale that were out there?
He did not, no.
Because he said on his podcast that there was like only 100 of those made.
Yeah, no, he didn't have any of those there. Yeah, because he had just these, like, this was $25 unsigned, and then like if you wanted to sign, I think it was like $50.
Yeah,
and stuff. So, but like he was just he was this cool guy and stuff, and then he had his internet championship belt, and then he had the belt that he won on the Jericho cruise.
He cheated, Flip Gordon out of that.
And so he had both those belts, and when you took a picture with him, he'd be like, "Which belt did you want to hold?" and stuff, And most people, including myself, held the internet championship and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he said something along the lines of, when you post this on social media, which I have to go on X and post this picture with him and tag him on. He said to make sure I tag Chris Jericho as well too.
Tag me too.
Yeah,
I was there. He got screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as we wrap this up, before we give you the floor to plug all your stuff, DDJ, what would you say was your favorite moment, if you had to pick one, of all the wrestling you experienced within the last week?
Oh, it had to be the game event. Just like being on stage, being picked to go on stage and do something like that, where you play Family Feud against people that you not only are fans of, but just people you see on TV, and just and having fun with them and interacting with them. And then just the feeling that I had for when we won the game, how, and then just winning the fast money round. And basically the funny thing was about the prize for winning. We were all out tickets. So it was along the lines of, and I was already going. So I ended up, trying to pay it forward and just basically giving up the ticket that I won. If you guys saw my post on Facebook, I think I posted and stuff.
I was so close to taking you up on that.
I wish you would have, because the guy that did ended up not showing, and I'm like super pissed. I'm not going to give his name out on here and stuff.
Yeah.
Do it.
No. I'm not going to do it. Stuff. But I just messaged him recently and I said, I wish you would have given me an update, because I had someone else that actually given message me. He's like, hey, if he backs out, you know, let me know. And I feel really bad, because I know this guy, someone who I know a little bit more, would have probably really appreciated it even more and come and stuff. But, you know, it is what it is and stuff. You know, it's nothing to get too bent out of shape and stuff about, but just the whole experience of, you know, winning the fast money kind of the way that I did, and just having all the wrestlers like, you know, Orange Cassidy being like, oh my God, you were awesome and everything. And then even a few minutes afterwards, I think I was outside. I think I was doing something, was going out to my car before the Max Caster concert that he put on at the end of Friday night. Like, I ran into Chuck Taylor, who was watching. He's like, oh man, dude, you did a great job and stuff. And it's just,
you're like a legend, Starcast family.
I pretty much was and stuff, because it was like I said, all the StarCast workers and everything, like the people that they recognize you for this, like, oh man, you did great and stuff. It's like all throughout the weekend. It was just so cool, you know.
You should just show up next year to the Family Feud thing. Be like, you're getting right on the.
Well,
like,
I already.
Get off. They're gonna kick a wrestler off and put you on the wrestler side.
So
I told.
So speaking of the Family Feud, to wrap this up, I literally Googled Wrestling Family Feud, and a channel I know, Stash Club Wrestling, did Wrestling Family Feud. So we're gonna go around the room here. I have the answers, top 5 answers on the board. Okay. What is the best wrestling city audience-wise? So DDJ, we'll let you go first, since you are the Family Feud, Family Feud knockoff.
Best wrestling city audience-wise. I'm going to be a homer and say Chicago.
Chicago is the number 1 answer. Tom, how about you?
How many? What are we going by? Wait,
there's 5. It just gives you 5 answers: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in points.
Okay, it's Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is number 2.
Nice.
Now this gets harder. That's what I was going to say.
It doesn't get harder.
How about Toronto?
Toronto, number 4.
I'm gonna go with New York.
New York, surprisingly, not on the list.
Really?
Not on this list.
Wow.
And I'm a little nipped, because I think we're ahead of 5. But so 3 and 5 are still on the board. Tom.
Montreal?
No.
I don't know.
Nick?
Baltimore.
Get the fuck out of here, Baltimore. Baltimore. No. DDJ, what do you say?
Let's see. I'm gonna say. Okay, so wait, so it was Chicago, Philadelphia, and then Toronto was number 4. So 3 and 5. I'm really surprised New York's not on there. I'm gonna have to say. I'm gonna say Los Angeles.
No.
Wow.
Oh, we lost Nick.
Nick, you
That's how upset you are. Nick is rage quit Family Feud, everyone. So it's down. So it's down to Tom and DDJ.
All right, Tom. What do you got?
All right, if I get it wrong, since then it'll be an even round. Can you give us a hint of coast or region?
Yes.
Okay. Tampa Bay.
No. All right. So one of them is in the U.S. One of them is in the U.S. One of them is not in North America.
I'm going to go with London.
London is number 5.
As soon as you said not in North America, London was the first city.
That was immediate. I thought it was just America, like North America.
Yeah, no, they said London.
In the U.S., can I guess a state?
It is not a state. It is a city.
San Antonio.
No. For those of you who don't know, I'm having my bachelor party in this city.
I don't know.
Atlantic City?
No.
Fucking Newark?
No. God, no.
Oh shoot!
Great place to catch a hockey game.
Your bachelor party. Where would you go on your bachelor party?
Let's see. Well, he's in New
I
York.
think what I have. I don't have like anything in hand that I could point to that would help.
So it's tri-state.
I'm going in July. I'm going to try and sway a show sponsor that I once tried to sway to sponsor this show.
Boston.
Boston is number 3. That's right.
Oh man.
Boston's number 3. I fight that New York is better than London. I might be a little biased, but
no.
Honestly, I would probably say I'm honestly shocked Boston's as high as it is.
Yeah. So
because I would put New York ahead of Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yes, that's our family feud, everyone. So DDJ, why don't you plug away your show and then we'll say goodbye.
Well, first off, as always, thank you so much for letting me be on the show. I love coming on the show. It's my second favorite podcast behind my own. And so doing my own segue. Check us out and Shooting Shit. We'll be back this week with a brand new episode. We decided to take the week off last week because everybody had stuff going on. And I mean, when you go almost 2 years straight with putting out an episode every week, you got to kind of take it easy.
I know too well.
We've
never missed a week.
Yeah, this is only, I think, the second time in the almost 2 years we've done this show that we missed a week. So
impressive.
I'm jealous.
But no, it's just, we record usually every Thursday night. I try to have the episode out Friday mornings. Just myself, the Premier Joey K, the Silver Wolf, and the Hot One, who is no longer as a resident of Dallas, but he is now a proud member of he calls Detroit, Michigan his home now.
Wow.
So,
there's that Tom Jovan crossover we've all been begging for.
Yeah, he just recently relocated to the Detroit area for his job. So but yeah, just check us out. Just 4 guys that like to sit around, talk wrestling, swear a lot, and then talk about whatever else, non-wrestling, just whatever pops in our heads and stuff. And I'm sure this week we're going to talk a little bit more about this past weekend because, I mean, believe it or not, there was plenty to talk about, and there was also a really good WWE premium live event on this past weekend.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yes, of course.
Dave.
Tom.
Let me talk, Dave.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I hate LA Knight. I want to say to everyone that is watching our show, as the Pasta Prince, as the king of the nerds, if you're watching this show, it takes you 2 seconds to find DDJ's show, Shooting Shit, and subscribe. Subscribing requires nothing of anyone. It's literally a click of a button.
Yeah,
it is so helpful for small shows like us and Shooting Shit. So I'm going to say, if you're not subscribed to us, obviously, please subscribe. If you're not subscribed to Shooting Shit, go and subscribe to them, because we, like DDJ say, the wrestling community can do really cool things when the wrestling community takes care of each other and you don't feel alone and you don't feel like you're ostracized or whatever. So I'm going to say it as the king, because I know Dave's got his beef or whatever with whatever and whoever. I'm going to say it because I really like DDJ, and I always say every time DDJ comes on, I'm always like, I love DDJ. Go subscribe to Shooting Shit. Go support our friends, because they're our friends. And you know what that means? They're your friends too. So fuck you if you didn't subscribe to them. I hate you, and I hope you have a bad night.
And fuck you, whoever messed with my All Out prediction or my All In predictions, okay? I will find out who the fuck edited it. I like to think maybe it's Premier Joseph K. Didn't want me to be king? Huh? Didn't want to meet royalty in WrestleMania, Philadelphia, pal? Maybe it could have been him. Could have been Jovan. Those Michigan miscreants. I'll tell you that right now. That Silver Wolf, he is nothing. Okay, I don't trust any of them. I only trust DDJ. I trust nobody else. I will get to the bottom of this and find out who the hell screwed me at All In. It's the All In screw job, and I'm all in on finding out who done it. So this way I can once again become king of the nerds. In the meantime and in between time, like we said, go check out
I like
DDJ's
that.
Shooting Shit show on YouTube. Join their Facebook group as well. Check out Tom's Vespa helmet. He looks handsome. Check out Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WNRDB, the Wrestling Nerd Broadcast. Check us out on ProWrestlingTees.com/the Wrestling Nerd Broadcast. And just for Tom, that's nerd spelled NRD. Yeah. Don't forget to join our Patreon, patreon.com/WNRDB, where for just $1 a month, you can help support the show and our crazy antics and help us fuel our dream of becoming a real podcast so we can all quit our day jobs one day. So until next time, on behalf of myself, Dave C. The Voice, future king of the nerds, His Royal Says Highness, Mr. Tom Sasso, and of course, our good friend of the broadcast, Mr. Dennis Day Jr. Don't forget to tell your mother you love her every day because, like Kevin Durant said, Mom, you're the real MVP. Good night, everyone, and God bless America.
I hope Nick's okay.